Hey, what's up everyone? Anton Anderson here, co-founder of Elite Resource Team. So in today's video, I'm specifically speaking to the financial advisors and insurance agents that are looking to partner with accountants. And in prep for this video, I went back and looked at some of the previous YouTube videos and blogs we have there, and I found this gem. It's about 4 years old now, but the title of the video that I did then was How to Identify the Right Type of CPA. And I go through a couple first steps and so forth. And there's some good content in there, so I'm not going to replace it. But I've got going on what my wife lovingly now refers to as my Ronald McDonald phase of my hair days. I'm also doing it in an all-black room, which I don't know what the decision-making process was there. So because some of it, I think, has changed a little bit just in the industry overall over the last 4 years, what I'm going to do is film a new video today, giving you some updated thoughts on if I was starting all over again as a financial advisor or an insurance agent looking to build partnerships with CPAs, what would I be looking for? We started this journey about 9 years ago, for those of you that don't know my story, and started working exclusively with CPAs. So that was about 9 years ago, perfected it over about a 4 or 5 year time period, and had a lot of good success, really enjoyed what we were doing. Ultimately decided that there was probably an opportunity to rather than just work with a handful of CPA firms in Southern California, take this at first nationally, now we even have clients in the UK and Canada, and turn it into just purely a training company. And that's what we've done, we did about 5 years ago. So Elite Resource Team is about 5 years old. So here's what I specifically want to talk about today. How do you identify the ideal type of CPA that you want to potentially be partnering with? If you're a financial advisor, insurance agent, really any other professional that benefits from partnerships with CPAs and can bring them value. That's the key with any partnership. Any good relationship has to be a win-win. Okay, so I'm going to talk about how to identify that CPA. The other thing I'm going to talk about is, listen, advisors and agents, it's not all the CPA's fault that you're having trouble working with them. It's also your fault. So you know what I say? 50% is finding the right type of CPA. The other 50%, that's on you. 50% is your responsibility to understand what the CPA is going through, how to communicate a unique value proposition to them, and how to do that with confidence, okay? So right out the gate, as soon as I see somebody on one of our Facebook posts or ads or YouTube videos or Instagram stories say, I've tried to work with CPAs, it's a waste of time. All they do is try to get your own license and sell them something, or they have no interest in working with the clients. The problem is not the CPA. The problem right away when I read a post like that is the advisor's mindset, okay? So here's the thing. Let's talk about the CPA for a second. 90% of the CPAs out there are not good partners for you. So that's the first thing you need to realize. If you feel like you've spun your wheels, or maybe you've considered working with CPAs and you haven't gone about it yet because you've heard it's hard, first of all, you need to realize 90% of them, they're not going to be the ideal type of professional for you to work with. It doesn't matter what designation they have or how many clients they have, 90% are not going to be a good fit. But guess what? If you happen to be an accountant and you're watching this video, or even for the advisors and agents, I'll say the same thing. Honestly, we have two of our partners are accountants. One's a tax attorney. We probably at least get one request a week from CPAs reaching out to our firm, asking us to introduce them to advisors. And I would tell them, 90% of the advisors are not good partners. Why? Because the reality is they have not taken the time to learn what it's like for tax professionals. All they have been taught is how to do what? Prospect, sell, market. Maybe they know a little bit about certain products, and it doesn't matter if it's on the AUM side or the insurance side, but the point is they haven't really been taught how to be a good partner to a CPA. So 90% of CPAs right out the gate are not a good fit. That means you're only going to be finding 1 in 10, if that. Same thing on the advisor side though. So let's talk about what are the keys. I've got 3 keys I want to talk about today for the 10% really. This kind of now represents just 10% of the CPAs out there. What are these keys? The first one is the clients. What type of clients do they serve? What type of clients do they serve? Why is that important? It's important because it has a huge impact on the type of relationship you can build with them and the amount of value that you can bring. So typically I would say the more sophisticated the client, the more moving pieces, the more complexity, and that could be in the form of small business owners, medium-sized business owners. It could be in the form of net worth or income or profession. The more moving pieces, the more value I can bring. So I want to know, do they have at least 20% of their book of business that is made up with the ideal client that I can bring value to? Now that might look different for you. I don't know anything about your practice, so you need to think about what type of niche have I served well. For me, it is the small business owner community. I work very well with small business owners. I am a small business owner, and I can bring a tremendous amount of value to them. So if I'm meeting a new CPA, I want to know, is at least 20% of your book of business made up of small business owners? If not, it's just not a good fit. If yes, great, let's move on to the next one. What is the next one? It's trust. Do they have the trust of their clients? And not just kind of lukewarm trust, yeah, I could probably get them on the phone. No. Are they the go-to professional for their client? Is their client gonna call them before they liquidate their 401k, before they start a new company, when they get married, when they have their first child? Is that client calling the CPA to ask them their advice? And it's not gonna be 100% of clients. But here's the question. When you ask a CPA, are you the go-to professional? What you want them to say is something such as, I like to think I am, I try to be, I've worked hard at making sure my clients see me as such, I am for the majority of my clients. Those are all good indications that, yeah, that's a great potential relationship when it comes to the trust. Because the reality is, unless you're a really high-end CPA, maybe working as a family office, and you've got a handful of clients, you're not gonna be the most trusted advisor for all of your clients. But you want the CPA to have that mindset, like that's the role they've tried to establish, okay? So do they have the type of clients you can bring value to? Are they the go-to professional? Do they have the trust of the client? And then the third one, and honestly, in my opinion, by far the most important, is mindset. What is the CPA's mindset? This is important because this one is very hard to change. 9-10 years ago, when I first really started building relationships with CPAs, at that point, I felt like I had to really convince CPAs that their industry was going to change, but it's already changed. Like, you don't have to convince this 10% anymore that things are changing. A good CPA that wants to be in business and be thriving in 10 years and 20 years from now, they know things are changing. The AI CPA has been focused on it. The Horizons 2020 has been focused on it. This is no longer something that you need to make an argument. So hopefully when you're sitting down with them, they already know things are changing. They already know that the compliance work is outdated, that they're gonna have to shift their business model and their revenue model. They just don't know yet really how, right? So that's the mindset. Do they see the shift, and do they want to move away from compliance, ideally move away from compliance and move towards value. Focusing on bringing value. Now, from there, we can do value-based billing. I'll call it VBB. We can do business advisory services. There's a lot of ways we can charge clients. Once we can get away from the compliance to free up the time, create the bandwidth, then focus on bringing value, okay? So that's ideally the mindset that the accountant has. Now let's talk about what doesn't matter for this individual. The first thing, even though I say CPA up here, it's really a tax professional. I don't really care if they're a CPA, an EA, enrolled agent, an accountant. Nowhere in these three keys did I say the license they have. That doesn't matter to me as much as, do they have the right type of clients I can bring value to in a partnership? Do they have the trust of those clients, and do they have the right mindset? If they have those three things, it really doesn't matter very much what license they have, okay? So it doesn't matter as much about the specific designation. Here's a couple other things. And this is an update since I filmed that last video. Their geography, I'll just call it area. I had a comment on our Facebook I think it was last Friday. And it was a CPA. And the CPA said, yeah, it's possible that an advisor can do what you're describing in this advertisement, but only possible if you're in a big city. And I said, big city? Like, what year are you living in? This is 2019. We're almost in 2020. Do you know how much business is done virtually? I have business partners in New Jersey. I see once a year. And we're meeting weekly on Zoom. We have advisors that we've trained how to build CPA partnerships. The advisors in Florida, CPAs in San Francisco. Another group, the advisors in the Southeast, the CPAs in, I want to say, Ohio. So don't worry so much about the area. Area really doesn't matter as long as we're comfortable with technology and working virtually. So we've got the license, the area. Is there anything else I was going to talk about? The last one I think I'll say is the niche. A lot of advisors and insurance agents get sucked into this thought that it's only the wealthy niche that matters. I want to go after dentists, I want to go after doctors, I want to go after high net worth individuals, I want to go after entrepreneurs. The niche doesn't matter. The niche only matters as long as you care about the niche. We have CPAs that we've worked with, their niche is multi-level marketing. Most people hear that, multi-level marketing, they're like, I don't want to work with a CPA in that industry. Yeah, well, guess what? This CPA focuses on the top 1% of the MLM industry internationally. His clients are huge. Other niches that matter or don't matter. Other examples, I should say. In San Diego, we have a very strong microbrewery climate, right? A lot of culture around this microbrewery. So beer, very profitable industry if you care about it. So I'd much rather see somebody go after professional dog trainers because they have a passion around that than I'd rather see them go after doctors because they read somewhere that doctors are the ideal clients, or engineers or something like that. So don't worry about the type of niche that the CPA has, as long as the CPA has some passion around that, and you can too, or you can at least get passionate about it as well, okay? So that's what I want to focus on when it comes to the CPA. Let's talk about now the advisor. All right, I already said 90% of the advisors, sorry, no disrespect to anybody watching this video, they probably don't deserve a CPA partnership, at least a good one. I'm not talking about a referral model where you just trade off referrals. That's so outdated and incredibly inefficient. It's not what we're talking about. I'm talking about forming a true relationship where we work together, we both bring value to the table, and we do that with the goal of bringing more value to clients. So 90% of the advisors are not a good fit because honestly, they haven't spent the time, energy to really learn about this market that they want to develop or this partnership that they want to establish. So if you are part of that 10%, then you got to commit to it. I would not suggest you do 5 things at once, like Social Security planning, Medicare, dinner seminars, CPA relationships, and what else is there? College planning. Like, don't do that. It's really, if you want to get to be one of the best in your niche at what you do, it's because you get rid of everything else and you focus on like one or two key strengths. That's what everybody who is at the top of their game does. It's about doing less, not more. So if you want to be serious about working with CPAs, then get rid of a lot of the clutter and the noise and get serious about understanding and learning more about your ideal partner. The more you know, the more effective you are, the more value you can bring. The more value you can bring, the better partner you are. The better partner you are, the better partner you deserve. Does that make sense? Like, I've made introductions to advisors, and unfortunately I was a little naive early on in doing this. Like, oh, here is this great CPA partner. They've got 120 clients. The majority of them are small business owners. They've got the right mindset. They've got the trust of the clients. The advisor hadn't done their work. They weren't good enough yet to deserve that partnership. So again, 50% of it's on your shoulders. So if you're part of the 10% that really is serious about making this a part of your focus in your business moving forward, then first of all, you got to establish UVP. What does that mean? I learned about UVP as an acronym while I was at college. My minor was entrepreneurial studies. I was like, like sunscreen, like UVP, unique value proposition, UVP. If you talk to an advisor or an insurance agent, and they say they work with CPAs, ask them, tell me about that. What's your unique value proposition to a CPA? Because guess what? You think a CPA is not being hit on once a week from a financial advisor or insurance agent at least once a week? No, and they've probably already got 2, 3, 4 relationships established as well. So just expect that when you are going after establishing relationships with CPAs. They get hit on every week, and they've probably already got 2 or 3 other relationships. Not a big deal, par for the course. What do? Well, we have to be better and different than those 2, 3, 4 relationships they already have, and those 1 or 2 financial advisor or insurance agents that are contacting them every single week. We have to be better. We have to bring a unique value proposition. A unique value proposition. So let me give you an example of a extremely weak line, and then I'm going to give you an example of a unique value proposition. An extremely weak line that is way overplayed. If I'm an advisor and I'm talking to a CPA, I would say something like this. This is, again, a bad example. Weak. Well, if you and I start referring clients to one another, then I can share some of my revenue with you. And what? That's it? Like that's the big idea? Terrible idea. Another weak value proposition. I'm an advisor at XYZ company. We've been around for 50 years. We've been around for 100 years. We're a mutual company. We're a privately held. We're a public company. Don't talk about the company you represent. Weak. Definitely don't talk about the products you represent. If your opening line is, I have access to proprietary products, and I want to talk to you about this new strategy, super weak. Right away, you should get kicked out the door if that's your game. So what is a unique value proposition? Let me give you an example. I work with CPAs and help them bring more proactive and holistic value to their best clients. Now, when I'm at a networking event or when I run into a CPA at the hallway and that's my opening line, what do you think they automatically ask? How do you do that? Which is exactly what we want. If you think about the ideal opening line or elevator pitch, we want questions, because now they are pulling the information out of you. What's the opposite? You're pushing stuff on them. Guess what salesmen do? They push information. Guess what educators do? They get information pulled out of them, right? So I'll repeat it, and I will transcribe this, so you're happy to use any, or welcome to use any of this language. I work with CPAs and help them bring proactive and holistic value to their best clients. Proactive, meaning we're ahead of the curve. We're not waiting until the client calls on December 13th and says, what do you think my tax bill is going to be? What? It's going to be how much? Click. No, bad. Rewind. We need to be having a conversation in July and August with that client that says, if we don't do anything else, I think your tax liability is going to be $120,000. Fortunately, my team and I have been taking a look at this situation. We think we're going to be able to cut that down by about half. That's a proactive conversation, okay? Holistic means I do a lot more than just your tax return or an audit statement, or if you're an advisor, sell you an insurance policy or manage your assets. I do a lot more than that. What do I do? Depends on what your problem is, right? Holistic. My team and I are holistic, okay? And then the final part of that, proactive and holistic value to your best clients. Ask any good CPA, why did you get in business as a CPA? What do you think they say? I wanted to be famous. I wanted to make a lot of money. I love technology. No. The answer is, I wanted to bring value to my clients. I wanted to help people. Ask them what the number one thing is they want to do in their business. And typically it's something to do with bringing value to clients. So that's why we build that into that statement. I help CPAs offer proactive and holistic planning to bring them more value to their best clients. Okay? So that's an example of a unique value proposition. Obviously that's just off the cuff, but I've said it a few times before. So I'd encourage you to establish your own unique value proposition. And then this is my final topic here, A, B. What am I talking about here? Well, salesmen, as I said, push. Educators ask questions and then understand situations. So this A and B is the current situation and B is the desired situation. And you can do this with clients as well, by the way, especially small business owners or clients that have a lot of moving pieces. The point is, well, you'll see where I'm going with this. So here's the current situation. So what you are genuinely trying to understand in a new potential CPA relationship is, first of all, I want to understand your client, your current situation. Again, who do you serve? What's your relationship like? What's your mindset about your current business? Are you happy? You're like trying to cruise out the next 5 to 10 years and then sell? Or are you just wanting to make a change, you're just not sure how? Current situation, current mindset. What's your desired situation look like? Where is this going? Where would you like to see this in 1 year, 2 years, 5 years from now? What is your desired situation? And then from point A to point B is where they are to where they're going. And right here is the challenge. So I understand you currently have about 600 clients, most of which you're doing only tax work for, and your take-home revenue is about $80,000 a year. Your desired situation is to only have about 200 clients, be doing all of their business returns, their personal returns, and to form a relationship where you can bring them even more value in the terms of estate planning, exit planning, succession planning, risk mitigation, other types of tax mitigation, expense mitigation, financial investments. So this is your current situation. This is your desired situation. What's the biggest challenge holding you back over the next 24 months from going from where you are to where you're trying to get to? What is that? Now, if you're talking about CPAs, it's typically time. Time, bandwidth, tax deadlines. It all centers around really having too much to do, too much on their plates. So if that's the biggest challenge, then the question becomes, And this is really now the only question that matters at this point. Once you've taken the time to understand the current situation and understand the desired situation, now the only question that matters right here, can you genuinely help them by either eliminating or mitigating that challenge? If the answer is yes, then we have a relationship on our hands. If the answer is no, then you should be very honest, because ultimately it's just going to be a waste of your time and their time, and saying, you know what, I'm really glad that we've had these conversations and I appreciate your transparency in this. I want to return that favor of being very transparent. I don't think, given where you are right now and where you're trying to go, that I'm the right person to address that challenge for you. Okay? Because again, by far, the majority of the work is going to be finding the right CPA relationship. So you got to be honest. If it's not a good fit, you got to tell them it's not a good fit. However, if it is a good fit, so this is where you are, this is where you're trying to get to, this is the biggest challenge you have. Good. Because I can help with that. And then silence. And now again, much like the unique value proposition, the question should be, well, how? How are you going to help with that? So that's what I wanted to touch on in today's video. I'll film another video where I touch a little bit more about what this actually looks like. Now that you've identified them, started to contact them, you know, what does this look like? How could you potentially help this type of CPA to create this win-win relationship? But hopefully you found this content helpful. Any feedback, I'd love to hear from you. If you're watching this on YouTube, you can make a comment below this video. Go ahead and like the video for us as well, and be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, because we upload videos like this at least once a week. So that's it for today. Again, I hope you found it helpful. I look forward to connecting with you on a future video.